All right, proving lines parallel, section 3.3. Very similar to what we talked about Friday and Monday. The key today is, again, understanding and using that vocabulary. Knowing corresponding angles, knowing alternate interior, knowing alternate exterior, and knowing same side interior angles. Those four things is what we're, again, checking up on today. Okay? Now, yesterday we learned that if two lines were parallel, corresponding angles were congruent. Today, you're just going to go the backwards way. Okay, it's going to be talking about the converse. All right, the converse of corresponding angles says that if the two angles are congruent, well, now the lines are parallel. Okay, so it's just the same thing in reverse kind of here. So it says here angles 1 and 3. Angles 1 and 3 are congruent. Well, those are corresponding angles. So because they're corresponding angles and they are congruent, the two lines are parallel because of the converse of the corresponding angles postulate. Now today it's going to ask you in some of your homework problems to prove these things. All you have to do to prove it is state converse of corresponding angles, and you're fine. Okay, you don't have to do all these different proofs and say, hey, this is this and this and this. Just say, hey, these are congruent, and because they're congruent, lines are parallel based on converse corresponding angles. Okay? Do you have a question, Mats?
Yeah. This kid that I couldn't find it. I couldn't find how to get this up.
All right, so converse or corresponding angles. Again, this is what we're going to be tested on. They're going to tell us the angles are congruent today. They're going to tell us these things. It's going to say, hey, why are they congruent? And because they're congruent here, the lines are parallel. So again, going in reverse order. All right. Number 2 here. They'll give us problems like this where they'll say, hey, I have these two angles where x equals 25. Yesterday you were solving for x. Well, today it's going to say, hey, here's what x equals. Plug it in. Well, when I plug it into both angles, it says they are congruent. Okay, so it shows these two angles are the same. Well, because, again, they are corresponding angles here, 2 and 4, the converse of corresponding angles says the lines are parallel. Okay, so again, if you understand what we've been doing the last 2 days, today is just the same, essentially. All right, now, the same is true for alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, and same side interior angles. All right, so if alternate interior angles are congruent, the lines are parallel. If alternate exterior angles are congruent, the lines are parallel. If same side interior angles are supplementary, then the lines are parallel. So same idea as yesterday, just thinking in reverse order now of all this. So number 1 here, let's look at number 1. It says angle 1 is congruent to angle 8. So those two angles are congruent. Now, what converse postulate says these two lines are going to be parallel now? If those two are congruent, what says those two lines are parallel, Trevor? Very good. So you would just say the converse of alternate exterior angles. Okay. Number 2. And that's the answer. Angle 3 and 6 are congruent. So angle 3 is congruent to angle 6. So now all of a sudden my two lines are parallel based on what postulate? Nick, I think you were saying it.
No, I got
Oh,
some question.
which question?
What is that sign? Is that sign mean the congruent?
That's congruency symbol. So angles 3 and 6 are what type of angles here?
What?
Tyler? Very good. So that'd be the converse of alternate interior angles. I'll abbreviate so I don't run into my graph. But yeah, it's the converse of alternate interior angles. Nice job. Okay, angles 2 and 6 are congruent. There's angle 2, there's angle 6. They are congruent. Now my lines are parallel based on what postulate there, Gabe? Those are not same side interior.
I was going to say juice.
They are the converse of what type of angles, though, Martina?
6 and 4 be the same side?
Same 6 and 4 would be same side interior. Troy?
It's the other one.
Caitlin, what is it? Corresponding angles. Those are corresponding.
Wait, I thought that.
Okay, because they're in the same position, they'd be like top right and top right. If you look at these four and these four as different positions, 2 and 6 are both in the top right there. So those are corresponding angles. And then angles 3 and 5. So angle 3 plus angle 5 equals 180. So if those are supplementary, that means my two lines are parallel based on what postulate? Now do you have it? Now it's the converse of the same side. Converse, same side. Nice job. All right, so next here. I'm given a problem like this. Same diagram there. And it says angle 4 equals 6x plus 18. Angle 6 equals 9x plus 12. So I'm given information on these two angles. I also know x equals 10. Well, what am I going to do with that 10, would you suppose? I'm going to plug it in for x. Right there. And I'm going to see what do angles 4 and angle 6 equal. So 6 times 10 gets me 60 plus 18. Thank you, sir. 9 times 10 gets me 90 plus 12, and I get... Now, what type of angles are they? Supplementary. So 78 plus 102 equals... So those two equal 180. They are supplementary, which now means my two lines are parallel based on what converse postulate, Max?
Same side interior.
Yeah, that would be same side interior.
Because it's 4 and 6 on the same side.
Do we have to write converse every time?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to count it wrong if you don't, because I understand, but same side interior. Okay, next one here. I'm given angle 2 and angle 7. So let's look at angle 2. Let's look at angle 7. I'm given x equals 65. What am I going to do with that x equals 65, would you suppose, Tom? I'm going to plug it in for x. Okay. So I get 2 times 65 plus 10. And I get 3 times 65 minus 55. Okay, what is angle 2 going to equal? Did you get it, Caitlin? What's angle 2 equal?
140.
That equals 140. What does angle 7 equal? Jersey? What's angle 7 equal? 3 times 65 minus 55. What's 3 times 60? 3 times 60? Okay, what's 3 times 5? So 180 plus 15 is? 195? What's 195 minus 55? So both those angles are 140, which now means my two lines are parallel based on what converse postulate, Ryan? Alternate exterior angles. Nice job. Again, same idea, using that same vocabulary from Friday and Monday. Try these two. All right, number 7 here. What does angle 3 come out to equal, Troy? $58. What does angle 5 come out to be, Camden?
122.
And those two add up to get us what type of angles then?
Same side interior.
180. So those are the converse of same side interior.
So if it's 180, it's automatically same side, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, it depends on where the angles are at. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Number 8. Angle 1. What's angle 1 going to come out to be, Peyton? What's angle 8 come out to be, Tina?
Oh, well, it's 100. But that's not what it's
Okay,
saying.
so angles 1 and 8 now are congruent, which means my lines are parallel based on what postulate or theorem? Austin? Very good. Converse of alternate exterior angles. So again, understanding those 4 different terms. Yes, Martina.
Okay, so the 1 and 8 are obviously acute angles, so
It's not drawn to scale. Thanks. Here's your assignment.